Yeah. Yeah, Whiskey Victor Whiskey 0830. This is one of those cars that have a color that, is very unique. It's a ton of gray, and you can see it right now with TSF 6998. Both are passing me at the same time, right? And both have exactly the same shade of gray, or very similar. And it's a gray that looks like cement. And they position it themselves one next to each other, so it could be a marker, right? But the two of them together could form a marker that could be visible. But if that's the case, right, that tells me the resolution, because it means that they need more than one car, right? So I think a car is like 2 meters wide, right, maximum. So it means that whatever they're using is, around 3 meters or 4 meters to be able to detect this on this direction, because this depends on the direction they're traveling, right? Because of the mechanics of the rotation of the Earth. So I don't know, I have to think about this a little bit more. But anyhow, so this is demo 109. My name is Reynaldo J. Aguiar-Marcano, and I'm on my way to the federal court to file a new document. Nothing really, groundbreaking or anything. It's just paperwork. But I want to tell you about a couple of things, okay? So I have probably before I get there, I have 15 minutes. So this is going to be quick. But it's a hunch. Let me tell you that, right? It's a hunch, and but it's one of those hunches that this sometimes happens to me that I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like an intuition, right? It's not a guess. It's an intuition based on all the technical things that I've learned through my life. But it just it's one of those things that when I see them, I just know that's the answer, right? I can't prove it, but there's something that tells me that this is it, right? And it literally gave me the chills. So I'm gonna say it because I think it could probably help, right? If this is what they're doing, understanding the mechanics of how it works will make it easy to break for the NSA or whoever, right? And I have to tell you, part of the reason why I had this hunch is because I have the same problem, right? I've built over the last year multiple communication systems. I have, multiple, more than half a dozen different ways to communicate. Completely different, different channels, right? And in all of them, there is a common challenge, which is how do you pass the key to the other person, right? How do you pass the key to the other party? And this is so much of a problem. This is a well-known problem in cryptography, right? Because the problem is that if you are communicating through a channel, that you have to assume. Every communication channel you have to assume is compromised, right? But for security analysis, right? So if the channel could be compromised, how do you pass the key? You cannot send the key through that channel, right? And this is so much of a problem for me that I wrote about. I did a demo about this very same problem around July of 2025, so 7 months ago, right? And I talked about this problem, and I talked about, no, actually, it was before I started recording demos. I wrote a post on the website, on Key Opinion Leaders, I think it was, about this problem and the solution I found, which is, I think, the same solution that they use, right? Which is geolocation-based encryption. So they calculated, so what they do, right? They coordinate two agents to meet at a certain point geographically. Imagine that it's an exchange that is going to happen via NFC. Near field communication. So they coordinate two agents to meet, and depending on where they meet, that point is one of the inputs to a function that determines in a deterministic way what is the encryption key. And I'm oversimplifying it, right? I think that function, and I know this because I'm able to break their encryption. And so I have a good idea of all the inputs, right? The inputs I can tell you are the geolocation, the IDs of the devices of the two agents exchanging information, and the day and the time of the day of the exchange, right? So you have to know to be able to reproduce this encryption key that they're gonna use. You need to know the function. You need to know who are the IDs of the two devices. You need to know where they're going to meet and when. So you have to be able to basically intersect them in space and time, and also have knowledge of the function, right? So, or a good guess of what the function would look like, which is what I do, right? So it's hard to break, right? And this is what they use for these agents on the ground, right? But the hunch that is really, it really literally, I tell you, this gave me the chills when I saw it. Like the hair on the back of my neck stood up when I thought about this 2 hours ago. Is the following. Obviously, because these people are military personnel, they must have different tiers of security, right? I mean, this thing that I'm able to break, I mean, until now, because now I'm gonna be able to break the other things, right? But until now, the things that I'm able to break are the less secure channels. Let's call it that way. The channels that all these ground agents are using, right? Which is basically location, time, and all those things, right? But imagine that they want to coordinate. I don't know. Let's call it. Let's make an interesting example, right? Let's say that they want to coordinate the delivery of chemical weapons using one of their vessels, right, on a maritime port. They can't be sending this through this channel that even Reynaldo, who is nobody, can decrypt, right? So they must have a more secure channel, right? The way I do it is splitting, and they don't do this, like they use single channel. So they do send the information on a single channel, but the way I solve this problem is by splitting the bytes in short windows over multiple channels that travel over different mediums. Like, for example, one channel could be, you know, a satellite bounce. Another channel could be ultrasound, for example. Another channel could be light, right? Another channel could be something else, right? And I split the information in a way that I make the encryption windows impossible, right? Like I remove bytes from the encryption windows in a way that they could not be decrypted, right? Even if they intercept the thing. And this is a very secure method, right? What I have is very secure. And of course, I have other things in it that I'm not going to say for, you know, tactical reasons, right? And technical advantage. But the question in my mind, of course, is what is that they're doing for their more secure, because I do the same, right? Like I have different tiers of security, right? Some things I might even send over email, right? Or text messages, like I don't care if they read them, right? Some things I send through the tier that's a little bit higher up. Like, for example, running in my backyard, right? Sometimes it's more secure, but they have all these houses next to me, they could intercept something, right? On either way, on uplink or downlink. And I have other channels as well, where, you know, I may go to a park, or I may go to a cellular antenna, like I do different things, right? But they can be doing this because it wouldn't scale, right? Like, their network is so big, and they have so many agents, and are committing so many crimes of different levels of severity, that this thing that I'm doing works for me because I'm managing a small set of nodes, right? But for them, this wouldn't work. So they need something that scales better, right? And this is where it hit me, right? And this is in combination with, and this is what I always tell people when I record these videos, that knowledge is an interesting concept because knowledge is not linear, it's exponential. The more you know, the faster you learn, right? So with all the conversations, I've been recording all these topics that I've been recording about the satellite imagery and how they're using the containers, the trucks, the caterpillars, the John Deere equipment in these Mustang Cat places, to arrange them to communicate status updates. It hit me. That's what they're doing. It's obvious, right? What they're doing is they are transmitting the encryption key using these physical objects, right? So the technique is, for example, I'm telling you this and I get the chills because it's so obvious and it's so powerful at the same time. that it's just mind-blowing to me. So this is, and I'm gonna give you, not proof, but like very suggestive evidence that this is what they're doing, right? So imagine Lake Pointe State, right? So the problem they have is that they need to communicate with all these agents, with John Miko, with Joel Gray, with all these people, right? With Robert Mueller. And they need to give them the encryption key, and they need to be rotating them, right? And the rotation of the key is a problem because it's dangerous. When you rotate the key, it could be intercepted and also could lead to detection. In their case, I'm not committing any crime, so if they get my key, the worst thing that happens, they get, they read what I'm writing or what I'm getting. But if somebody gets their keys or guesses them, they get convicted, they get put in jail, right? Or worse. So they can't take that risk, right? So the rotation is dangerous. So it's obvious to me. At Lake Pointe State, imagine, right? So what they do, they need to imagine that they have to send the key to John Miko next to my house. What they do is that they pass a truck with a large attachment on the back that has a series of colored objects arranged in a specific way in that attachment. Like, emergency cones and things like that. I have an interceptor on, my back, but, I don't care. Emergency cones and, things that are large enough to be recognized by a satellite and are painted on a distinctive color. And the number of objects and the shape that they form, those pixels from a satellite, that is an information that is a seed to compute the encryption key. So the one that has, the object that has the encoded seed, this is not really an encryption key because it will be too much information, but it's a seed. It's a data point, it's an input that if you know the function, it produces a deterministic key or a key that would work with this channel, right? There could be multiple keys that work, and so it will produce a viable key. So the weak point is the truck that is carrying this large attachment, because that truck, what it's really carrying is the seed of the encryption key. And because it's short range to John Miko's house, for example, when it's driving by, it drops the key via NFC, you see? So the large truck drops the key via NFC to John Miko, right, to his house. That's why they have to have the cars parked outside to get the keys, right, from the cars passing by or from the. So they could send the key to John Miko using a vehicle, a regular vehicle. It doesn't have to be a truck, right, with an attachment. The truck in the attachment is necessary for the satellite to be able to see it, to be able to see the seed, right? So they could even split the key in two different ways, right? One, the truck with the attachment for the satellite, and the other one being the NFC vehicle delivering it manually, by short range to John Miko. And that way, John Miko has the key and the satellite has the key, which means the Chinese in Beijing have the keys, right? And then they can establish the communication securely, and they can rotate these keys many times per day, which is a huge problem for me. I cannot rotate and this is what I'm telling you. I know this because this is a problem for me. I wish I could rotate these keys every 5 minutes, but I can't, right? Because it's risky. But this is probably how they do it. With those trucks, that's why Diosdado Cabello loves those landscapers with those trucks, with those attachments, because they carry the encryption keys. And that's why there's so many, and that's why they pass on Britton Ridge Drive in a such periodic manner. If you look from a satellite or from a plane or something, you will see that this is almost clockwork. Every number of minutes, there is one of these trucks passing by with the attachment with a bunch of cones and objects on the back, which I believe are really the pixels for the satellite, right? And these satellites have resolution of 0.5 meter, right? At this latitude. So, a traffic cone, orange, bright, would be visible. Would be a small pixel in that image. But it gets even more interesting. This is so powerful, this concept, because then you can do things. In this case, they're tied by the geography, right? They're sending the seed on the truck with the attachment to the same location where the communication is happening, right? But this is even more powerful. You could, if you really want to coordinate something that is very, very secure, right? Like if you want to, do something that is extremely secure, you can communicate with an object somewhere else in a different place in the planet. So you can send the seed in a location that is in Italy, right? So the key to communicate in Lake Pointe State is really a truck in Italy. Imagine this is unbreakable. Who would think of look for this truck in Italy to understand that the encryption key of John Miko could be produced by a seed that is a number, I don't know, 5035, right? Nobody, this is impossible to guess, right? And it's impossible to break because it requires a knowledge that would be omnipotent, right? So it's a humbling design. Now I imagine the people that know this is not. I imagine the people that know this would be like Travis Kalanick, right? Like I don't know, like people on the tech, at least on the tech side of things, right? Or the Chinese in China. Like I don't think this is something that would be known by, the Ronaldo Patirroyo, right? I mean, he may know that the trucks pass by, but I don't think he would understand why, right? But it's a humbling concept, right? So this is a way of a mixed channel communication. It's not separate channels, but the encryption key or the seed for the encryption key at least is traveling to a complete separate channel and a complete medium, and even a completely different medium and a completely different wavelength, right? Because this is traveling through light, through visible light, right? That is visible to a satellite, while the actual data is traveling through, on the microwave or radio frequency spectrum, right? So it's really a very strong design. Because to intercept the seed, you need eyes from the sky, right? Like these places, for example, I don't have access to a satellite that can give me this information real time, right? I just don't, right? So only people like the NSA or I don't know, right, the military would have access to these technologies that would allow to see these seeds, right, from the sky. So it's very secure. It's super, super secure. But when I saw this, I don't know, it was amazing. It was an amazing feeling because I could see it, right? I could understand. Now I could make sense of this reality I'm seeing of this coordinated dance of all these trucks with attachments, right? That's what they're doing, rotating the keys. So now the next part of the job for authorities, right, that have satellites, I would say would be to figure out to reverse engineer this, right? And it's trivial, right? Because, the weakness of this is that the number of pixels inside the truck is small. Like they can have 500 cones inside of it because, it would be useless. So they have to have between, 3 and 12. So the number of possible combinations is small. And that makes it so that the seed is weak, right? And, with, I don't know, I'm guessing with a couple dozen of examples of this, from satellite imagery, you can, and the samples that you can probably get, right, from nearby locations by just eavesdropping on what's coming down, you can probably reverse engineer the function, right? That's what I did with the cars, because I can see the NFC exchanges that they're doing, and I can see, other things. So the same idea, but from the sky. So I don't know. It's very exciting stuff, and I have to tell you, I feel lucky to be able to be in a position where I can see these things. And this is not because this is just because I'm in a privileged point of observation. They put me in the middle of this for 25 years, right? It's not because I have technical training. Like, it's not. I think anybody that would have, with some technical training, anybody with some technical training that would have been put in this position would have seen it. But anyhow, I hope the NSA really destroys them with this information. That's my hope. Okay, I'm gonna file those documents. I'll be right back. Michael Papa Nicole 3999 got flagged by the phone. The confidence is low, but I think it's because the phone is not well positioned, because I'm just installing it. One second, let me position it better, because it cannot see well. This is the weakness of this. This is the weakness of these computer vision systems, that they require optics. That's why all their cars are always super clean. I don't know if you noticed that. Super clean, right? So anyhow, fast. Okay, yeah, so we're back. I was just filing documents with the Southern District of Texas, so the federal court, where because what happened was that Judge Hittner denied my motion to reconsider and reinstate the case, right? So he stood on his decision to be the judge on his own case. I mean, in the case where his name as the defendant.
1 mile, take exit 51 on the right.
But that, I don't know, that makes it so that it gives me the right to appeal, right? And when I appeal, this will go to the 5th Court of Appeals. And this is something they cannot just ignore. You know, like the petition for writ of mandamus is, they have discretion on whether to review it or not. But an appeal, they have to review it. And when they see this barbarity, they will face with the same dilemma that Judge Hittner was faced. So what the pipeline calculated, I mean, this strategy was calculated by the pipeline like a month ago. And I told you this, I'm talking to the network. I told you this in demo D97. I told you this. And again, like I don't think I have to say it again. I think you see where this is going, right? But I warned you, right? So anyhow, now basically what's happening is that the 5th Court of Appeals has to review this appeal, right? Because that's their job. They're the courts of appeal. They cannot not review it, right? It's a ministerial duty. And it has a timeline. They cannot take 5 months to review this, right? So it bounds. It gives it a time boundary to this problem, right? And it's an instrument that they cannot dismiss as mute, right? It cannot be mute because it's an appeal. They have to take a position, right? So when they see this abomination of a federal judge ruling on a case where he is named as a defendant, denying his recusal, like he denying to, refusing to remove himself from a case where he's named. They have to take a position, right? So basically, if you want to see it graphically, what is happening is the pipeline fabricated this rope. It gave it to Judge Hittner on the 11th of February, and now Judge Hittner decided to use the rope, but at the same time he passed it to the judges in the 5th Court of Appeals. So now they have the rope, right? Let's see what they do with the rope. That's the question.
Take exit 19 beyond the right onto Arlington Road North.
And now we're going to FedEx. I'm mentioning this so the authorities can if they want to, take the high ground. This is a good way to do it.
Take exit 19 beyond the right.
And what we're gonna do is, I picked up that, well, I don't know if I should tell you this. I don't know. I'm on the fence, to be honest. But I'll tell you. So the informant told me this morning when I went out, I was able to pick up a couple of messages, and one of the messages was a warning that my service to the Supreme Court was defective. And I'm telling you, this is not a random comment. there is a lot to, I don't know, like this is something that I think authorities should, if they ever investigate this thing, they should probably, right? It's just a suggestion, a humble suggestion, but it seems to me like something that could lead somewhere, right? Investigatively. Let me tell you why. So this Venezuelan informant, right, that has proven multiple times that he's accurate, right? Told me that my service on the documents of the Supreme Court was defective. He wasn't sure exactly how, but he told me that it was defective. And I haven't had a chance to ask him like follow-up questions like, who told you, etc., right? And I don't know if he would tell me. But probably not, like, because usually he gives me information, but he doesn't tell me how he got it. But this is important. I mean, it could be important for an investigation, right? Let me tell you why. The question that one needs to ask oneself is, how this informant that works in the Venezuelan military knows that my service to the Supreme Court was defective? Only a certain number of people knows this, right? I mean, only a certain number of people supposedly have seen this document. And I can name them, right? So one would be the parties. So all the parties, including the federal judges. So the federal judges, the state judges, right? And it's interesting because it was defective in the following way. I missed the service to Troy Pickett, the Adams Law Firm, Morgan Heibner, and the judges in the Supreme Court of Texas. I made a mistake and I did not include them. I didn't serve them, right? By mistake. So obviously, because I didn't serve them, they should not know about the existence of these documents. So the only people that could have known are the staff at the Supreme Court of the United States in Washington, D.C., the directors of the Lake Pointe States Homeowners Association, Phil Denning, etc., right? Larry Ryan, the Lake Pointe, the Lake Pointe States Homeowners Association itself, the entity, because I also serve the entity, like on its corporate address. I also served the federal judges, the 3 clerks, and Telfair, Susan Brown, and Judge Richard Bell, like those judges, right? So the state judges, the federal judges, and all the clerks, and the Lake Pointe State Homeowners Association crowd. And of course, I sent the document to the Supreme Court of the United States. So the question is, how this person in the Venezuelan military got this information? There's only a handful of possibilities that I see, right? Maybe there's more, but assuming that they didn't take the package in FedEx, right? Which would be a huge problem because that's a huge corporate entity, right? But let's remove that possibility. Let's think about the people, right? That legally got served. So they didn't steal the document, but somebody's compromised. So if they got it, if the Venezuelan intelligence got it from anybody from Lake Pointe States, this would immediately put proof collusion of not only Lake Pointe States, Robert Mueller, Mark Swisher, Larry Ryan, and the Roberts, Markell, Weinberg, Haley, Butler, PC attorneys, the ones that have been harassing me, including the hearing yesterday, right? Collusion with the Venezuelan intelligence. That's what it means, right? Because they told basically the team of Fislaro what the lawsuit says, and they gave them a copy so they could review the certificate of service to understand that it's faulty, right? That it's missing people, that I did not serve them. And not only that, they had to see the certificate, and they also have to have knowledge of the list of people that I serve, which is only visible in letter stream, right? The service I used to send these documents. So that would be devastating, right, for the attorneys of this law firm, the Roberts, Markell, Weinberg, Haley, Butler, PC attorneys. The second possibility is that they got it from the state judges, meaning of the Honorable Richard Bell, the Honorable Oscar Telfair III, or the Honorable Susan Brown. And this would be horrible because, I mean, directly or indirectly, right? But this would mean collusion between the governor of Texas, right? Because they all report to the governor of Texas, basically, right? So they're Texas judges. And their name in this lawsuit next to the governor of Texas. So this would suggest collusion between the governor of Texas and Diosdado Cabello, if this is the case, of course, right? The other possibility is the clerks. Also damaging because it would show collusion between federal employees on the judiciary and Diosdado Cabello. So any way you look at it, how he got that information could be, well, and the most concerning one would be if they got it from the Supreme Court, from an employee, a clerk, or I don't know, somebody in the mailroom, anybody that works in the because the Supreme Court, from what I've read, is supposed to be one of the most secretive entities in the federal government. It's super secretive. Like they have their own police force and everything, and they handle their own affairs internally. Like it's almost like I don't know, like they are their own jurisdiction in a way, right? They self-regulate. It's like a mini government within a government in a way, right? And I can understand why, right? Because they're handling the most fundamental questions about constitution and government and separation of powers. They have to behave this way because otherwise they would be praised for the Chinese, right? And other countries. But if Diosdado is able to get information from there, imagine that, right? And I'm saying Diosdado because this informant is Venezuelan. He's not Chinese or Russian. So I don't know. It's one of those puzzles that could be important, right? But anyhow, the informant told me that the service was effective. I checked and I understood. I missed people, right? I missed by mistake, human error, the private attorneys, right, that entered the void orders and all that. And I missed the judges on the Supreme Court of Texas because they're not named by name, but as John Doe justices, right? And I didn't know how to serve them. So I had to research how to serve them. And I mean, the pipeline didn't have this piece of knowledge encoded. So it omitted them, right? But I corrected that, and now it does it. So I'm coming to FedEx to file a corrected certificate of service with the Supreme Court of the US to tell them that I caught the error and then I fixed it. I already mailed them, the missing parties, via FedEx, the whole package, right, of documents. They should get it on Monday. But at the same time, I need to mail, and I need to do it physically because it's a wet ink signature. So I'm gonna do it here next to the airport, right, where there's no more than one hop between Houston and Washington, D.C. Because this location, see, here's one of those trucks. Although the equipment is not very well painted. Like this thing that I was talking about, the trucks, one of the tells is that whatever they have on the attachment is the paint is bright or reflective or visible, right? It's not rusty because it wouldn't be visible from the satellite. Anyhow, that's what I'm doing here. I'm filing that, sending that document to the Supreme Court with the correct certificate of service to let the clerk know that I fixed this. At the same time, I tell you that until the point I left the home this afternoon, being Friday, February 13, 2026, sorry, none of the two filings with the Supreme Court still appear on the docket. Right? The first one is already 5 days old, 5 business days. By the end of the day, right? And it doesn't appear. So I don't know, I have to keep an eye on that and keep checking, right? And call the clerk and see what is going on, right? So that's that. Now speaking of the topic of the satellite images and all that, I remember something funny. This is just observational, right? It doesn't really matter, but it's one of those things that is funny. So when the corporation bought the house at Lake Pointe Estates, and Phil Denning started with the campaign of harassment with the lawn, right? And sending those emails, discrediting me and all that. I made a decision to buy the tractor because, the lot is too large and I couldn't do it with a small machine, right? It was taking me too long. So my former partner tells me when she made this comment that she always had a dream of owning a John Deere tractor, right? And I remember thinking, well, what a strange dream to have. I would have never thought somebody would have dreamed of, owning one of these tractors. Anyhow, because I'm in this mode of trying to make her life better, right? Given the circumstances we were in. I say, well, we have to buy a tractor. You have this dream of buying this tractor. I'll buy the tractor. I'll buy this particular tractor, although it was a bit more expensive than
500 feet, take the rail on the left toward
than other makes and models, right? Sorry, I forgot to do this. I think it's this one. So yes, so I thought, what a strange dream to have. So I bought that tractor, but now, like, looking at this, right, and all these, developments with the things that I've learned and observed, and knowing that all the dealerships, well, not all, but most of them, of the John Deere dealerships are marketing the index, right? Notably, that one that is behind the Amazon warehouse behind I-10, right, in Katy, are marketing the index. I imagine this wasn't a coincidence. It was probably Ronald Patirroyo / Andres directing me to buy this specific tractor because of the color, because it's traceable with the Chinese satellites, because of the color, right? They already have the system programmed to track this particular shade of green. So it doesn't matter where I am in the lawn, in the backyard or in the front yard with this tractor, they know exactly the location, right? This is why they have such a high precision when I'm cutting I don't know if people would have noticed that when I'm cutting the lawn on the front of the house, they have very high precision for intercepting me where I am near the edge of the front yard. It's probably because of this, right? Because they can track the color of the track of the tractor. But it's funny to me. I look at that situation, right, when I bought it, and I was naive, right? How could I have imagined that there was design behind that comment of, it is my dream it has been my dream to own a tractor, right? And particularly coming from Gloria. Like, you look at her, she doesn't look like the type of person that would dream of owning a small John Deere S100 tractor, right? Not exactly. Like, that's not her prototype, right? But anyhow, it's funny. At this point, it's funny. Yes. So I have another observation, which is something that I saw today that defies logic, right? I don't know how I guess I know. I think I know, but, if you see this footage, and I'm saying this in case, I imagine, right, some authorities are going to come to my home and seize all my recordings. So I'm going to tell you where this is, right? So this is recorded on the channel 8 of the home security system, channel 8, on February 13, 2026.
1 mile, keep right.
And the two events that you need to look for are, the first one is at 12 p.m., 8 seconds and 42 milliseconds. And the second event is at 12 p.m., 31 minutes. No, sorry. The first one is 12 p.m., 8 minutes and 42 seconds. Sorry, I misread. So 12:08. And the second event is at 12:31 p.m., 14 seconds on the channel 8 on February 13, 2026. So this is what happened. I connect the internet to, I don't know, I was doing something legal and something with these legal documents that I filed in this court today, right, in the federal court. As soon as I did that, the mailman of Lake Pointe Estates, which I call the second most interesting mailman in the world, came rushing in that USPS truck to get into the corner, right? The Katy Gray's house corner, which is the hot zone for the interception, right? He comes rushing, but from Britton Ridge. So he's not in Teal Lake, right? He's on Britton Ridge.
Now keep right toward John F. Kennedy Service Road.
And this is important. He was basically on the same street where my house is, right? And he came rushing, but he didn't get it.
Now turn left onto Frontage Road.
That's the first event, right? Now, the second event, I don't know where I'm going here, to be honest. I think it's this way. The second event, which happened at 12:31, is the same USPS truck comes out of Teal Lake Court, which is that street where Larry Ryan and Gary Gray have their house, right? Which is perpendicular to Britton Ridge Drive, and it's very close to my home. That's why I can see all this, right? But the anomaly lies is that he never got into the street. I mean, he drove through Britton Ridge and then he appeared, 13 minutes later, coming out from Teal Lake, which is a dead-end street. That street ends on a lake. There's nowhere you can go, right? So what this tells me is that they have another secret gate that allowed him to pass from either one of the houses on North Pointe Place, like for example the house of Miller, could be a good candidate for this.
Keep right to stay on Frontage Road.
Because he could pass the car. I mean, if they had a secret gate between these properties, right? He could pass the USPS car from, say, hypothetically, right, from Miller's backyard to the backyard of the house that is behind. I can't recall the name of that agent, but the house that is behind the house of Joel Gray, right? And then he could come out on Teal Lake as if he's coming doing his job, right? So it's just to avoid passing in front of the camera repeatedly, right? So they have another secret gate in one of these houses. I have to look with the drone to see exactly where they have it, but they must have it, right? Now, I think this is a weakness because this is visible from the sky. This is open sky, unless they have a tunnel, but I think that would be too much. So probably somebody looking at this from above will see that they're moving these cars in this way, right? And this shows collusion between all of them. So it's silly, really, I think. But the interesting observation is that this street, Teal Lake, I mean, to put it in a funny way, it is like this street is able to produce USPS vehicles from void, from nothing, right? So no USPS vehicles come into this dead-end street, but vehicles are able to come out, right? They get manufactured inside of that street somehow. I don't know. But I think it's really that they have a secret gate, either on that side or even maybe on the property of Larry Ryan, who is the commander of this operation, right?
1,000 feet.
But that would be
West onto John F.
bringing the vehicle from the other street, right? From the one that is towards the exit of Lake Pointe State. But one of the two, or maybe they even have two secret gates, right? To do it, to split them, right? I don't know. But I mean, if they had a secret gate on the properties of Eckhart and Mueller, I mean, that's probably a TTP, right? This must be a standardized. So they probably already have a secret gate on the other
John F. Kennedy Service Road.
on the other properties as well, right? On Teal Lake. Yeah, so this truck is not advancing. I don't know why. Right, but I'm telling you this because when you review this footage, right, you will see that no USPS vehicle ever came into Teal Lake, but he came out. Right? And there's only one vehicle that's. There's only 90 houses in the subdivisions. There's only one mailman. But I don't know. It would be interesting to see how they will explain that phenomenon, right? That they can manufacture these USPS vehicles inside of this street. That is a dead-end street. I would like to know what is the explanation
Now
for that.
turn right.
Anyhow, I think those are the items that I have for today. If I remember anything, I will record another segment.
Now your destination is on the right.
Package.
About dry line testing batteries, making it good. If you can place your package. You have to come way over here from Katy?
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that. I will think, you can give me the vanilla coffee.
I'll be right back. 1 second. All right.
What's your phone number?
650-479-6157.
6157.
Yes.
You lived in the Bay Area?
I did.
Yeah, I'm from Oakland.
Oh, nice. You go back a lot?
I haven't been because I was diagnosed with cancer in 24. So.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear.
Oh, it's okay. I'm in remission now.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful place. It's a lot of challenging.
Yeah, I lived in Oakland until I was 10, and then I moved to Vallejo, and then I moved to Stockton, and I moved to Pittsburgh, and then I moved to Virginia. Then I came
It's Stockton, California?
because it was just getting out of hand with crime and stuff.
Yeah.
You a lawyer?
No.
Oh, okay.
Engineer.
Oh, okay. How soon you need to get it delivered?
Monday morning.
Okay. For Monday, it's going to be, we have 8:30 in the morning for 164.18. That's first overnight. We also have 126.67 for 10:30. And
The
then
8:30. The 8:31.
8:31.
Mm-hmm.
Can you verify the address and information is correct, please?
Yes. I wanted to ask you, why some packages get that and some others don't?
It scans the pack. So you selected the most expensive way of shipping, and it keeps track everywhere your package is.
Oh.
If it's in the back of the truck, this barcode is gonna show
Nice.
us exactly where
What
it's
it
at.
is.
Yeah.
So it doesn't get delayed by.
Yeah, so in case something happened and you'd be like, well, my package, it shows that it might be on that truck, but I don't know where. It'll show exactly where it's at on that truck.
Nice.
And you can swipe your card.
Okay.
Turn it the other way.
Sorry.
No, the other way. Thank you.
It didn't work?
It worked.
Yeah.
Because thank you.
Thank you so
Have a
much.
good weekend.
You too.
See you next time.
Yeah, see you. Bye. All right, we're back. So this is Whiskey Sam X-Ray 0193. Let's see if I got my license back. Yes. All right. Yes. So I think that's what I had for this demo. The tracking number is, I can find it. Oh, she didn't give me the tracking number. Oh yes, it's here. So 39873143425. That's the tracking number. FedEx. And it should be arriving there on Monday morning. That's the goal. All right, so we're gonna close this recording, and if I recall anything else, I'll let you know. I'll record the the other stuff, like the observations of the cars and stuff, on the camera system of the car. Okay.